So I'm going to start by removing this cover here behind the door handle, stick a trim tool in here and just pry it out. Preferably use plastic so it doesn't damage the plastic. Then there are 2 Phillips head screws that you have to remove. I'll start with this top one. And one down here behind the handle. Okay, that's all for here. And next, this large armrest piece, it's actually just a cover, and that has to pop off, which will expose more mounting screws. So I'm going to take this same trim tool and stick it back here and just pry it out. It's held on by several push clips, so it's pretty tightly secured in there. Just pull straight out like that. There we go. Some more Phillips heads. I'm going to start over here and just work my way to the other side. There's also one on the bottom here. Oh, I missed one. I missed one over here. Last one. Okay, this piece comes off and it frees the door panel at the top here. At this point, all we have is push clips that hold this door panel on. So I'm going to take my plastic trim tool, stick it in here, and just try to pry them out. They are pretty stiff, so don't be afraid to tug on it, but make sure you don't break them. There we go. I'm going to pop this corner piece out just to make room for the lower part of the door panel to come off. Set that aside. Now we can lift this, pull it out, and then lift it up. Should unhook from the door. Then on the back side, don't go too far because you have some wiring. Next, with a pocket screwdriver, I'm just going to gently pry down on the locking clip of this lock switch and pull it straight out. Okay. And next we have the window switches and the mirror switch, which are right up here. Okay. I guess that makes things a little bit easier. Push that through. Okay, there's that one. And here's this one. Okay, set this all aside. Now let's pull back the vapor barrier. Be careful with this butyl tape here. It's super sticky, so if it gets on your clothes or in your hair somehow, it's not going to be fun trying to get this back out. You don't have to take the window track out of the way, but I did it so the camera can get a better view at what's happening. So I'm going to start by disconnecting the 2 rods that hold the that are held onto the outer door handle here. So there's this one right here, which with a pick or a pocket screwdriver, you can pop open the cap, pull the rod off, and then right behind it, there's this one over here. You can just pull that one straight out of its retainer. There we go. Those are loose. And so then the door handle itself is held on by 2 nuts, which you can access through these caps here if you take them off very carefully pry this one off. And then there's one up higher. You can do the same to that one. I'm using a pocket screwdriver, but being very careful not to scratch the paint. With a 10mm socket, stick the extension through here and loosen up the lower nut. Okay, there's that one. And that one broke out of the door handle, but that's fine. We can fix that later. And then there's the upper one, which is right here. Go ahead and break this one free as well. Okay. Well, they both broke, which is fine. We can fix that later. So let's separate that metal piece, and then we can pull the door handle out from the outside. So because mine broke, I'm going to have to kind of separate the 2 pieces, twist this metal piece and get this out of here. Okay, that's out. Okay, turns out it wants to come out the bottom. So this is what was happening for me. The top broke off completely. We'll fix that. And then the bottom basically unthreaded out of the door handle on the wrong side instead of the nut coming off. But again, we'll fix that later because we do have to save this bracket for the new one. This is what clamps it on the door from the back side. So set this aside. Now come on the outside and just find the right angle where the door handle wants to come out. And there it is. So this top one I'm going to remove by just twisting it. Give it a wiggle and save this for the new handle. And then this lower one can stay with the lock. This is for the lock. And to take the lock out, all you have to do is press in this little latch. I'm just going to use this rod to help me out. And once you press that in, you can just push the lock out through the front side. And there you go. We will install this in the new handle. Discard this one. Take your lock cylinder, line it up, this little latch with the bottom, slide it in, make sure it clicks. There we go, that's secure. And then take your rod that goes in at the top, slide it through, and this is ready to install now. So to take these out, there are multiple options. You can either hold the back with some locking pliers nice and tight and then undo the nut. What I'm going to do is use an E5, that's an inverted Torx socket, on the head of the stud here, and then just a 10mm wrench on the nut. And hopefully that'll do the trick. Okay, oh, there's one. Oops. Save the nut. This you can throw away. Do the same to this one over here. Again, save the nut, throw away the stud. Now let's install this. Take your new door handle, slide it down, make sure these rods don't get hung up on anything, and make sure you don't scratch the paint with any of this. There we go, slide it into position. Just like this, and it's not going to stay. You'll need that bracket on the back side, so make sure it doesn't fall out. Take your bracket, slide it in through the bottom, and put it over the door handle. Make sure it's not in the way of the rods. And line it up with the studs, of course. That lined up with the top and lined up with the bottom. So we'll start on the two mounting nuts to secure it. I'm going to start with this bottom one just because it's easier to access. Okay, there's one. Start in the top one. Start in the top nut. And as long as everything is still lined up and in position, let's go ahead and tighten them. Nice and snug, don't over tighten them. You're only tightening into plastic, so you don't want to break it. And nice and snug, perfect. Now let's connect the two rods down here. I'm going to start with this, the one that is further back. Line it up with its mounting hole and press it in. Make sure it clicks into the door latch there, which it did. And then this one, which has the yellow mounting clip, lock it on. And then let's give it a test. Now this is pretty straightforward, but it's always good to give things a test after you install them. So I'm gonna pretend that I'm closing the door by latching the latch shut here. And I'm gonna pull on the door handle. There you go, it opened the door for me. I'll do it again. So as long as that works, you're good. And then I'm just gonna lock this. And I'm just gonna latch this shut again, lock the door. Okay, so that locked it. Unlock, and that works just fine. Let's put the vapor barrier back. Just gonna stick it over here first. And then make sure all of your wires go through. Connect everything that needs to be connected underneath it. If this doesn't stick, you can either use some regular tape to hold it up or some more butyl tape if you have any. But usually it should still be sticky. Slide this in this way. Put the vapor barrier over just like that. Okay, let's get the door panel. Connect the screen connector to the lock switch. Take these two wires and feed them through the hole in the top here, and then we'll take the door panel, hook it over the door here. I'll leave those to be connected in a little bit, and then it looks like everything is lined up, so I'm just going to press in all the push clips. That looks good. Let's connect the window switch over here. Make sure your mirror switch connector goes through this forward slot here, and go ahead and connect it. Press this down. Hey, it works. Now let's put in all the screws that hold the door panel to the door. Let's put in the two medium length screws here and here that hold this trim piece onto the door handle. Now take this piece and line it up. And then this one had several bolts holding, or screws holding it on. There were these two main anchor screws for the door. They go into the larger openings here. There's one over there and one over here. And And then this piece was also held on by 4 little screws. One here. One that went straight down in here. And then 2 over here. Okay, and then there was a cover that covered all this, of course, which is this piece right here. It's got some metal clips on the back side. Just make sure you line them all up before you press it into place so you don't break them. That's that. And now we're missing this last trim piece here that covers the door handle. So slide this on. It has a couple hooks on the back side. Those have to slide in first, and then press the front in. Just like that. That's perfect. This one also has a clip on the back side that has to line up, and then a little tab here that hooks in first, like this, and then it should automatically line up. And there you have it.